I'm sure after that Christmas special, you guys probably want to see an actual Romeo Cat Computers video, so let's do this. Hello, this is Romeo Cat Computers, and today, a computers video. It's been a while. So this is my main desktop. It's been here for 3 years now, and I do pretty much everything day to day on it. Video editing, Minecraft playing, and also just daily messaging, file managing, web browsing, all that stuff. I built it in 2019, and at the time I needed a new computer because I was using a Dell Studio 1555 that was quite literally falling apart. And I needed something with a bit more power as well as something with more plugs, and I just really wanted a desktop, and I also really wanted to build a computer. But I didn't really have any source of income at the time. So I had to just save my money, buy a part, wait a few months, save money, buy another part. So it was October 9th that I finally finished this particular computer. When I built this thing, I bought all new parts off of Amazon, but at the time I didn't really have a good idea as to what should go into a good PC. So I bought a lot of cheap parts that were made in the early 2010s. And so this starts to show nowadays, since the parts are a few generations behind. The Gigabyte motherboard, for example, has DDR3 RAM sockets, PCIe 2.0 buses, and an AM3 Plus socket. I fitted the motherboard with an AMD FX 4300, a quad-core clocked at 3.8 GHz, and specifically this is the unlocked version, although I haven't made use of the overclocking yet. And in the RAM slots, I got random stuff I found on the side of the road and cheap on Amazon that adds up to 6 gigabytes, but for the longest time I had the sticks in the wrong slots, and so for over the years it's been either 5 or 6, depending on how I happen to put the RAM in. As it is now, it's a pretty usable computer. Now granted, when I run something like Minecraft or the other games I have on there, it can be a bit sluggish, but it gets the job done, and especially for the sort of web development that I'll do and video editing, although rendering takes a long time, I'm able to make use of the software perfectly well. And 90% of the time all I'm doing on here is looking at YouTube, my inbox, or Discord, sometimes Skype as well. So it does pretty good for that. But I have a few grievances, mostly just because this installation of Windows has been going for 3 years straight now, and it's kind of gotten old and bickery right now, so it would be good to reinstall Windows. Even though this motherboard is a bit older by now, it has a lot of things that I like. For one, it's got separate PS2 ports for mouse and keyboard, and although I don't use that all that often, it's good to have it. But most importantly, down here, under the PCIe slots, it's got 2 PCI slots. See, when I built this computer, one thing that I liked about upgrading to a Dell from the cheap Walmart HP Streams I had was that I could plug things into it, and I wanted to build this desktop so that it could have as many ports as possible. Not only new ports like USB, but old as well. And here you can see I got both slots populated, this one with the serial card and that one with a working modem card in Windows 10. And yes, a modem is not very useful for the internet, but I like messing with other computers and modems on my simulated telephone line. And that in conjunction with Windows 10's amazing driver support, I'm able to use older things in here that I wouldn't normally on a newer one. I've also been able to fit an IDE controller in there, and at one point I had an iOmega zip drive in this computer that worked natively. But because there's some things that are slow, mostly playing Minecraft and rendering videos, and I also just want to build another computer, it's time to build another computer. Like last time, I still don't really have much of an income, and this stuff was expensive, so it took me a while to save up the money and buy each part. But unlike last time, rather than putting the computer together as I got the parts, I saved all of them, wrapped in their boxes, until the production of this video so that I could make a video of me putting a computer together. Now this was pretty expensive, and I went with more advanced and modern parts, so this kind of started in 2021. The SSD right there is the first thing I bought, which was in the summer of that year, and the case in the background is the last thing, which showed up today on Christmas. So let's get to putting this together. So here's the motherboard I've chosen. It's an ROG Strix B450-F gaming motherboard. And from what I understand, these are pretty high quality. Now this isn't going to be a big Linus Media Group production video, but I'm going to do my best to put this thing together. This is the CPU I'll be using. It will fit in the AM4 Plus socket. I got this fresh from China from some random eBay seller. It's a Ryzen 5. Now this one's still a few years out of date, but it's a much more modern CPU. It's a Ryzen 5 1600. Yeah, there you go. Copyright 2016. As for the RAM slots, I now have DDR4. And because, mostly just for vanity, I want RGB. So this is one of the first RGB things that will be going in. It's some Vengeance Pro RAM. Should be 2 sticks of 8, adding up to 16. And there are 4 slots. In the future I'd like to populate all of them, but for now it'll be 16 gigabytes. And this motherboard also has something new for me, somewhere over here. M.2 NVMe socket. And I'll be putting a 500 gigabyte Western Digital Blue. Now I know that it's been proven that SATA versus M.2 isn't always all that much different, but in my case I want to use the M.2 slot, and I'm kind of curious about using the technology, and if I can, I'd like some speed advantages. Now here's the graphics card. You may notice it's still in my old PC. Well, that was the one thing from this new computer that I could put in my old PC. Now this isn't staying here. This is going to go in the new one, and I'm going to put the original graphics card back in. But because this computer is just not very good with graphics, I figured I'd stick it in here and enjoy it for a while. So this is an NVIDIA GTX 1650 Super. Well, I suppose let's get the case out of the box. Wait, that didn't quite do it. Let me try that again. Alright, there we go. Now, I only saw this thing on Amazon, and I wasn't really sure to the full extent what it would be like, and I already see some neat features like this magnetic dust filter, among other things. So, I guess let's get working on putting this thing together. Alright, so I'm going to start installing some of the smaller things on the motherboard before I put it in the case. Now it would be wise to have one of those grounding straps, especially since the humidity is pretty low in here and static charges are possible. But I've never really done that before. I haven't had a problem, and I don't have a grounding strap, so I'm just going to be careful. So I start with the CPU, the Ryzen 5. And now I have taken these out and kind of tested their fit, make sure I didn't buy the wrong thing. But other than that, they haven't really been used. So there's a little green triangle right there that needs to line up. It's hard to see, but there is a green triangle somewhere here. I think there, maybe? No. Yeah, see, even I can't really see it too well. Well, it can only go in one way. Of course, it's the last way I try. Well, I gotta open this up, drop it in, then close it. I'll put the water block on a bit later. Here's the RAM. Again, I've kind of opened the box, but I haven't really done anything yet. And then I'll go and get this one. Oh, I put that in the wrong way around. And there we go. Now for the Western Digital drive. It's out of a package. You believe how small technology has gotten. This is it. It's just this little thing that fits in my hand. It has a 500 gigabyte, and it's just using one chip. So I don't know, this thing came with screws, but what you're supposed to do is fit it in like that. Push it down, and then there's a little screw there. I'm gonna have to go find the standoffs that came with the motherboard. Alright, here we go. There's a little standoff and a little screw, and that'll just go in down there. So I'm gonna take this back out, and then use my Scepter branded screwdriver that came with the monitor I'm using over there. Try to get through. Gonna want to put the standoff in this one. There's a standoff. Stick the drive in. Get my screwdriver ready. Go down like that. And there we go, the drive has been installed. So here's the Thermaltake power supply. It's not modular or anything, they're all just coming out of one hole. And I was kind of hoping they weren't going to be these mustard and ketchup type colors, but I don't care all that much. It's an RGB PC. So now I'm going to try to fit that in there, and it looks like it goes in through the bottom. It's one of those fancy new cases where they hide the power supply when you're looking in through the window. Alright, so that's installed. Lettering's upside down, but I believe the fan needs to be facing downward because of the vents in the bottom of the case. So it's not like you're going to see it, but look at this. More cables to sort out. Oh boy. Alright, so I managed to get the motherboard in off camera. I had to fiddle with it for a while, but there it is in the tower. So there are two fans right here, and this is where I want the water block to go on the top. So what I'm going to try to do is take these two fans out and move them to the front, because the air goes around and comes out these side vents. There's another set on the other side. And then I guess I'll install the water block. And then the graphics card, which is still currently in the other computer, I'm going to have to shut that down, swap it to the NVIDIA Quadro just to get my old computer still working, and see about getting the new one in. So I'm going to go ahead and do all that stuff. I've got a bit of an issue now. Here's the block, and there's gonna be fans right on top of, or on the bottom here. Now, as it is, even without the fans, it's not gonna really allow for clearance. So I'm going to have to put it face up like this, meaning I'm gonna have to move these fans back up here. You know, pictures are international, and I can understand what the pictures are saying, but this wording is atrocious. This one's my favorite sentence, if you can call it that. The product cover AMD opened the bottom vacuum installation angle alignment product bottom after locking screw installation angle. Alright, so I got the water block installed. I still have to put the fans over here, but this is another thing that took a little while just to kind of figure out how it all goes together, but I've got it on there secure. I put the thermal paste on, and yeah, I got to put the fans on, and then take the graphics card out of that one right over there. So here I've gone and I put everything in, and I've also cable managed the back. Unfortunately, I won't be showing that because I just got it all put back together, and my room's a mess. I just want to be done with this for the day. So this is what I have so far, and I apologize it's a bit dim, but I put everything in. Got the graphics card, cooling system, the 2 sticks of RAM, CPU's under that, of course. And I mentioned that the label for the power supply was upside down, but I like they knock out a window here so you can see it. So there's a nice view of my Thermaltake 600 watt. So anyway, I'm going to put this back together. I'm not going to hook it up on my desk right now because I'm not ready to start using this thing yet. I'm going to be hooking it up. over here just on a temporary keyboard, mouse, and monitor so I could make sure it's all working and everything. I'm going to take us back to a time when all you needed was power, video, and keyboard. Alright, here we go. The video is on a VGA monitor, so I had to get an HDMI to VGA to get it to work. I have mains hooked in. All I have to do is flick the hard power switch and then push the power button on top. It might just come on when I do it. Let's see. Oh boy. Well, that is something. And yeah, I'm looking at the phone. It doesn't quite capture it. It's very vibrant, colorful colors. Unfortunately, the monitor is not really showing anything right now. I have a few suspicions as to what that might be, but that doesn't mean it's totally dead. I mean, the fact that I'm getting all of this is already a good sign. There is power. So let's see what else it is I can... Oh, never mind. The monitor is working. Here, let me point this up here. Yeah, so it just flashed a little ROG Strix. Oh, good old American Megatrend. And let me auto adjust this here. New CPU installed. You don't say. Okay, and there's my 16 gigabytes of RAM. So we know the CPU works, the RAM works, the motherboard works, graphics card works. All of it, I mean, to what extent there could be other problems, but for now we know that everything works to its best ability. So let's see what the setup looks like. Here I'm using a old System X PS2 keyboard. Now, I don't have a mouse plugged in right now. I don't really care all that much. I kind of just want to... Look at that. Now, today is Christmas Day, but it's only off by one day. It's the 25th, and so that's very interesting. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. I'm sure you want to see me install stuff. I will do a follow-up episode very soon about installing stuff, but I'm not quite ready to implement this computer into my current setup. And I've also got a big mess to clean up right here. So, anyway, hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.